Hey everybody, welcome to another weekly Doomer News Update. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel really quick. It'll give you some automatic notifications when I sporadically release a video. It's another gross, hot and humid day in New Jersey, but it just started to rain and thunderstorm, so it's feeling a bit better. I'm going to start this out with notification that the Donnie Creek wildfire in northeastern BC is now the largest in the province's history. And as of this date, June 18th, which was a little while ago now, 2023 season is the third worst on record for Canada. You scroll down here, you see the size, and this is of the 18th, it's now the 23rd, 5,344 square kilometers. I heard a video, one reporter and scientists were talking about the scale was half the size of Jamaica in area burned. It's pretty staggering numbers. Smoke forecast, as you can see here, most of the continental United States is avoiding some of that toxic, crazy wildfire smoke from Canada, but I feel like it's only a matter of time before the winds shift and it comes back again. So as you can see from this map, and I'll tilt it a little bit, and this is the fire smoke. I'll share these links when I upload the video. The Donnie Creek and the fires up on the western side near BC and the territories in the north of Canada are still burning. And then you have a lot of fires going over here on the right, still on the edge of Ontario and Quebec. So looking towards other news, you can see here, even though we are officially in a El Nino, transition to that, and that's usually supposed to mean less hurricanes and more droughts as a result. The ocean is so warm that, and circulation is moving so aggressively, that 2 tropical storms have already spun up as of the 23rd. So it's a very interesting early start to the hurricane season. There have also been a number of tornadoes in the last week or two. Almost every single day in the south there have been tornadoes. I think I'm going to do a report on extreme weather in the last month because there's been a lot of temperature records broken. I saw a new high for this year of 2023 of 123.4 degrees Fahrenheit, which is, I believe, close to the 50°C mark. I'll have to do the math on that. Sorry, non-Americans, for that little blunder. So we're looking here. You can see, oops, I wanted to show this first. You can see those 2 storms on Null School. And if you switch to the ocean setting, you can already see a lot of the sea surface temperature anomalies off of the coast of Peru, where they declared a state of emergency. You can see 4.3 C. Now, you might think to oneself, if there's a average of 1 C anomaly over how hot it is, that might not be too bad, because that's only like 3 or 4 degrees Fahrenheit. But when you start having these extreme heat waves like England and Ireland are currently having, with these 4.2 and even higher up north, 4.7, it's a change, the rapidity of change that is outstripping the ability of the marine species in those areas to adapt. The heating, it's not how hot it is, it's the rate of change. A lot of these species are not able to adapt. A lot of people have mentioned this, from Jim Massa to Guy McPherson. And even as the oceans acidify, it's affecting the ability of a lot of marine species that grow shells to form those shells. So a lot of stuff's going on. And, last but not surely least, a bit out of breath because it's hot and humid today. So pardon me, but that's our current reality. You can see here already a lot of heat intruding into the Chukchi Sea. And let's look at the scale really quick. just for everybody that doesn't, know. Can you see over here? This is 5 meter thick ice. Then it goes down to 4 in the red. Green and yellow is 3.5 to 3. The bluish green is 2.5. And then this tealish is 2 to 1.5. And then you get down to the blue, dark blue at 1, purple at 0.5 meter, down to white at 0. So this is important to note when you look at the thickness of the ice and how it's melting and how fast it's melting. This projection runs to the 29th or 30th. I don't know if you can hear that, but the storm is intensifying outside. It's good news. Although it might be a bit more difficult to upload this video now without internet infrastructure, but we'll see. Hudson Bay down here, a lot of the ice into the first week of summer. Already down to 0.5 meter. A lot of this Baffin Bay ice, and around this area, I believe that's Davis Strait. And we can zoom in on that stuff here too. A lot of this stuff on the Davis Strait, and the other side, the Fram Strait, is thinning rather rapidly around Greenland, and I believe that's going to affect it's going to speed up the melt of glaciers in Greenland, because that warm water is able to flow underneath the glaciers and form cavities. And you can see around this island, Svalbard right here, we're going from that 2 meter ice down to the 1 meter ice rather thickly. And let's do the peripherals first. We'll get to the important bit last in a second here. You can see the peripheral edge of Siberia. I believe this is counted in extent, is going really quickly. And then an area of interest, the Laptev, which usually goes ice-free first, is indeed rapidly going ice-free. A lot of that is going to 1 meter and 0.5 meter and under, very thick. Importantly, the ESAS over here has this big hole opened up around the land islands, because heat kind of builds and grows off the darkness of the rocks on the islands that usually causes these kind of, you can see it on all the different islands in the Arctic, this effect there. And this is bad because there's a shelf, very shallow shelf here with a lot of undersea permafrost, and the heat can go directly through the translucent young ice that's 1 or 2 years old, and Jim Massas taught us, most of us, that fact. And so this could be bad news if this gets ice-free quickly. And you can see most of it, aside from these tendrils where the ice is kind of like compressed together through the different movements of wind and gyres, it's very thin. And then you get towards the North Pole. Sam Crana has shared images that a lot of this is just kind of almost like different, imagine different building blocks of different shapes just smushed together. And you can see the little cracks in between. So it's not really together ice, it's just thick ice stacked together. And that's what these various splinterings represent. And then most importantly, you can see the thickest, oldest ice, this kind of last bastion, the barrier towards, preventing doom for most species, is breaking apart, getting very thin. You can see here, you can tell heat's coming in through here, because that's where it gets thin quickest, up over northwestern Canada and Alaska. And you can see these thicker parts breaking apart here. And more importantly, the oldest, thickest ice around the tops of Canada and Greenland, you can see by the end of this projection just kind of goes in one solid, look at that. Just kind of goes right there. So that's the main thing for me that I want to watch in the next couple weeks, is what happens with that. Looking at JAXA really quick, we're still like 13th lowest for extent, but looking at everything that HiCom has just presented and seeing how this line has dipped down, we didn't get yesterday's data, but the day before was 110,000. A square kilometer decline. So the U.S. Naval Postgraduate Institute 6-month ensemble forecast, headed by Dr. Wisław Maslowski, predicts about 4.465, if I had that correctly, million square kilometers of extent remaining. The lowest is 3.18, which was September 15th, 2012. So I personally think we'll get somewhere in between 4.4 and 2. I think we could go down to even 2. If we miss the BOE, I think we could get a new record down to this point. And I say that because of how fast this thickness, as we've all kind of observed, is dwindling all at once and will over the next 3 months, and this kind of trajectory line sharpening downward. So to go in line with the 4.4, we'd have to lose about 2 million square kilometers every month for the next 3 months. To go in line with my prediction, we'd have to lose about 3 to 3.5, which would be about 100,000 or a little bit more per day. So every day we don't get 100,000, it's good news. Every day we get about that or more, maybe not so much good news. So again, sorry that this update is so long, but at the same time, it's too much news to fit into a few weeks' time with the schedule I have for working. So I hope you enjoyed some information and got to share it with some like-minded, aware doomer friends. Have a beautiful day.